All right. Well, Arkansas could become the 7th state in the country to have only one remaining abortion clinic. Judge Christine Baker heard challenges to 3 of the state's recently passed anti-abortion bills on Monday.
If implemented, the laws would force the state's last surgical abortion clinic in Little Rock to close. Arkansas's last remaining abortion clinic would only be authorized to provide medication-induced abortions up to 10 weeks into the pregnancy. So CBSNews.com reporter Kate Smith has been following this story really across the country. She's joining us now. So listen, walk us through these laws in Arkansas. What's going on here?
Arkansas is one of the most hostile states towards abortion access. So it should come as no surprise that they're one of these states that could actually go down to one abortion clinic. So this week, just like many other states that we've seen across the South and Midwest, have been really busy passing anti-abortion access legislation. Now, one interesting thing to note, they did that heartbeat thing all the way back in 2013. So they're way past the heartbeat bill. They're looking at different stuff now. So the things that are in question are these 3 different pieces of legislation that they passed this session. One is a ban on any abortion after 18 weeks. The other is an OBGYN requirement. So the idea would be that any physician practicing in Arkansas has to be authorized by an Arkansas body to practice OBGYN, not just like general medicine, but OBGYN specifically. And that little piece is what could actually close down this clinic.
So which of those bills would have the greatest impact on abortions in the state?
It would actually be the OBGYN requirement. And what I think is so fascinating about that is that's the one that doesn't get the headlines, right? Because it's kind of hard to understand, and you think to yourself, well, yeah, sure, why shouldn't an OBGYN be the one doing abortions? But these are actually the most detrimental to abortion access in these states because they're the ones that have the ability to shut down clinics. And it's a little murky whether or not they're constitutional, whether they're okay with Roe v. Wade. Whereas, for example, the 18-week ban, that's pretty clear-cut, not constitutional. It's these other little ones that don't get the same outrage are the ones that really have the most consequences for women in the state.
But I am going to ask that question. Like, why wouldn't it be, or I suppose it could be another doctor, not necessarily an OBGYN. Is that what they're saying?
That's exactly right. So the idea is that for these clinics, it is so hard to find abortion providers in places where sentiment against abortion is so high. So I spoke to the one that could close, Family Planning Services, and so many of their physicians actually come from out of state. So they have this one doctor that flies in from California every other month to work 4 days. They have another doctor that comes in from Tennessee, and that's because it's so hard for them to get board recognition in Arkansas. So you have to have all of these traveling doctors coming in, and so for someone who doesn't they're not following this as closely as we are, they would say, sure, of course, why should an Arkansas doctor be the one doing abortions in Arkansas? But the reality is that those lawmakers have looked at exactly who does abortions in Arkansas, and they see it's an out-of-state thing, and that's how they know how to be able to shut these things down.
Well, I can imagine that this clinic is not working as efficiently as it can if they have to keep flying doctors in. So removing the option for surgical abortions, what sort of impact would that have on the state then?
So that's another huge impact that this could have, because medical abortions, and that's the abortion that you get with a pill, you can only administer that up until 10 weeks into pregnancy, whereas a surgical can take you, as far as you need to. So effectively, if you get rid of the only clinic that can do surgical abortions and you're left with only this one, only medical abortions, women after 10 weeks in Arkansas would no longer be able to access abortion care in their own state. And the 10 weeks is pretty early, right? That's 2.5 months maybe. Most women don't, when we were talking about these heartbeat bills, we were saying that most women don't know that they're pregnant by 6 weeks. Now, if there's only one clinic in the state, Emery, you and I were talking about that, good luck getting an appointment within that 4 weeks that you're legally able to.
If you call them up and it's been sort of a couple of, maybe it's been a month and a half and you think something's happened and you call them up and they go, okay, great, 2 months from now we have an appointment.
Right.
That's not going to do anything for you, yeah.
And so based on actions taken in other states, you've been covering the actions of other states over the past couple of months. How likely is it that these laws will go into effect?
Well, Vlad, that's the key question, right? So the 3 different laws that the judge was looking at yesterday and heard challenges for, it's pretty unlikely from a legal standpoint that she wouldn't block an 18-week ban. That's pretty blatantly unconstitutional. We have viability. Other states have looked to pass similar laws that have been struck down. So we're not super worried about that. However, the admitting privileges and the board recognition potentially could not get blocked. So there was Supreme Court precedent back in 2016 in Texas called Whole Woman's Health. Now, that case established that doing these things, requiring physicians to have board recognition or admitting privilege and things like that, the Supreme Court did find that unconstitutional. That put an undue burden on what women need to do to seek abortion in their state. However, you're seeing all these federal judges all around the country just kind of not acknowledging it, right? So you're having judges in Missouri who have just said, no, I don't agree with that, and we're going to let these things go. That's why Missouri has only one abortion clinic. And you're seeing other states all over the country where judges have just kind of rejected this particular precedent. So this could really go either way. I looked into the judge a little bit. She's an Obama appointee. She's not a Trump appointee, so that, a little bit of indication, but, nothing is certain until we find out.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
Yeah,
you've been on this
Thank
for
you.
a long time. We appreciate it.
Thanks.